Greetings, everyone. This is HR4BTC presenting the Bitcoiner's Guide to Getting a U.S. Ham Radio License. We're going to start off by discussing HR4BTC's mission statement. Our mission is to bring Bitcoin Plebs and Devs into ham radio in order to help the Bitcoin community achieve technical proficiency in radio communications techniques so that they will be able to contribute to advancing the radio arts in alignment with the ethos of Bitcoin. What we're saying is that radio is a decentralized freedom technology, and we are going to be teaching Bitcoiners how to use it effectively. So the topics of the training are going to be as follows. We're going to discuss the U.S. ham radio license types. We're going to discuss their respective exams. We're going to give you some information on test preparation and studying for the test. We're going to show you where to register with the FCC. We're going to tell you how to find a test. We're going to tell you about what you can expect on test day. And we're going to close with some final thoughts for after the test. There are 3 license levels in the United States: technician, general, and amateur extra. There's a test associated with each of the 3 license levels. You have to take the test in sequential order to go on to the next one. So to become an amateur extra, you would have had to pass the technician, the general, and the amateur extra. That being said, the technician class is the entry-level license. It'll give you access to the UHF and VHF portions of the spectrum with minimal HF spectrum privileges. This will be good for local communications over radio. It's also your entry point to get into the digital modes that might be of interest to folks like Bitcoiners. There is a test associated with this. It's 35 questions. And like all 3 of the license tests, it's multiple choice. The question pools are known in advance and they're out in the public. We'll talk about that later. What you need to know is that you have to get 26 of the questions correct in order to pass. This is very doable. Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts, for example, they take this test all the time, frequently at ages 10 to 12. The first test is not that tough. If you're able to hold your own private keys, this should not be that big of a challenge for you. And I think you're going to find what you get for the amount of effort that goes into this, it'll be well worth your time. So, the next license we're going to talk about is the general class license. I'm going to pitch this to you as the most desirable license to get. It is the mid-level. It gets you just about all of the radio spectrum that is available to a ham radio operator. It gets you into the HF spectrum, which gets you into the ability to do global comms that ham radio is known for, bounces signals off the atmosphere, the whole deal. And what's awesome is it's not that much more difficult than the technician class. Just like the technician class, it's 35 questions. You need 26 right, multiple choice. Questions are known up front. So I'm going to suggest that for most of you, this should be your goal, is to get to the general class. So the final level is the amateur extra class. This is the highest level. It gets you the full ham radio privileges that are available. So those final slivers you didn't get under general. And this test is actually much more difficult. It's 50 questions, once again, multiple choice. You need to get 37 right to pass. And the questions are more along the lines of the material that you would learn in a college electrical engineering course. It is my recommendation that you go for the general. Get into ham radio, find out what you like about it, and when you know more, decide if you want to pursue the amateur extra. So, test preparation. The first thing we want to say is you should never have to pay for ham radio instruction. With that in mind, our first recommendation is hamstudy.org. Hamstudy.org provides practice tests for all 3 of the ham radio tests. Their system will help track which questions you're getting right or wrong over time to help you focus in on where you should study and effectively use your time. It's wonderful. Additionally, they even let you take the actual test through their website, and it will look exactly the same way the practice test looks. So you'll even be familiar with that element for an online test. Cannot recommend them highly enough. The second recommendation, there is a ham radio instructor on YouTube. His call sign is W4EEY. We'll have a link down below. But he does in-person/online classes for all three of the license levels. And he records them and he puts them on his YouTube in a playlist. So you always have the most up-to-date information if you go to his YouTube page and look into the playlist. W4EEY, if you see this, thanks for all that you do, by the way. And then the next thing we want to talk about is books. You may find that you want a book to help you study. You might be able to find these at your library, but the two really solid series of books for the three tests, the Amateur Radio Relay League has a series for all three classes, and there's an old ham by the name Gordon West who has a series of books. Both of those, you can't go wrong. Whether you buy them, get them from the library, either one of those series will get the job done. Okay, so here comes the fun part. To get your ham radio license, you're going to have to register with the Federal Communications Commission. Basically what this entails is, instead of using something like your social security number, you have to sign up to get a unique FCC registration number, or FRN. And where you do this is in a system they call CORS, which I think stands for the Commission Registration Server. And the website is apps.fcc.gov/CORS. Now, one thing I think is very important, not just for getting your ham radio license for anyone that's looking for privacy, is you should have a P.O. box. And I recommend you use a P.O. box for this process, because when you get a call sign, there's a public database of call signs, and someone you're talking to on the radio here's your call sign. They can pull your call sign up and see the address you used when you register with the FCC. I think you're going to prefer to have that be a P.O. box than where you live. There's other benefits to the P.O. box. Just think about it. I think you know what I'm talking about. Highly recommend a P.O. box. So, finding a test site, relatively easy. First option, hamstudy.org/sessions. There's an entire listing of online and in-person sites on a calendar. Your second option is to go to the ARRL.org site, click Find an Exam Site. They have a search engine. I believe those are all in person. And your third option is to search out to see if there's any ham clubs in your area. And they will frequently on their website, or potentially a Facebook site, have their upcoming schedule of exams. So, for taking the test, you're going to need to bring a few things with you. You're going to need a government ID, driver's license, passport, the basics. You're going to need your FRN number that you just registered for. And you're going to need the test fee. They don't always do it, but if they do, it's like $10, $15 typically, goes towards the testing facilities, etc. You could bring a basic calculator. More than likely, they'll have calculators there for you. But if you do bring one, it's going to be non-programmable, very, very basic. Furthermore, on your test day, if you pass a test, let's say you went to take technician class test, and you pass, out of tradition, they're going to probably offer to let you take the next test for free. You should do that. Even if you haven't studied for it, always take the free next test if they offer it to you. Also, if you take a test and you almost pass, they will typically give you 1 second try if you came close. If you didn't come close, they're probably not going to offer that to you. But by tradition, that's how it works. They'll let you keep taking tests as long as you pass, and they will likely give you a second try if you come close. After you pass your test, it'll probably be a few days before the government gets around to giving you your license, at which point you're free to conduct radio activities within the parameters of what the government granted you. We're hoping that when that happens, you'll swing by and check out what we're up to. This YouTube channel will be one spot. We really like nostr here. HR4BTC really likes nostr. So look for that npub down below. To a lesser extent, we're on other places, but the action's here and on nostr. I look forward to seeing you again.